I went through the toughest phase of my life. I lost my mom in May, and then very unexpected, and then I lost my grandmother, and then I lost my cousin. And I think EO helped me pull myself together, and I think dealing with grief for an entrepreneur is just so difficult.
You were just hearing from Jaya Maru, who went through a very challenging and emotional period in her life marked by the loss of several close family members, including her mother, her grandmother, and a cousin. These personal tragedies occurred around the time that she became a member of EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, last year. And Jaya credits EO for helping her navigate through this extremely difficult phase of her life, providing that support to her, a supportive and enriching community. EO gave her the safe and the powerful space for her to deal with her grief. And managing grief can be incredibly challenging for entrepreneurs. The main question is, when you're at the helm, you're at the top, how will your business behave in your mental absence? Ladies and gentlemen, Earthlings and Martians, welcome back to another episode of the My First Business podcast, where I find mentors for my business and put them behind a mic. Each conversation is designed for you, my dear listener, and myself to help us improve our businesses and feel a little less lonely on this turbulent journey. My mentor for today is Jaya Maru. She is the co-founder and CEO of Rewardz. Rewardz is among the top B2B SaaS-based employee recognition and reward players across Asia. Founded in 2012, headquartered in Singapore, and they have offices in the UAE, Malaysia, India, and Indonesia. They empower their clients to reward their employees, customers, distributors, and partners. Jaya also mentors startups in the region in the EO Accelerators program and has won more awards for her business than I can list here. Outside of that, Jaya has an infectious laugh. A few months before the interview, Jaya and I, along with a few others, were paired in a workshop to come up with a brand new business idea and brand from scratch. A workshop that was incidentally actually led by a previous guest on the show, Hassan Fadlallah, who is the OG when it comes to the branding. Be sure to check out that episode too. But back to Jaya. I've never had so much fun in a 6-hour workshop locked in a hotel boardroom, and that was all thanks to her. She's a natural leader. Not only did she keep us organized and focused, she left ample room for the whole group to be on the floor laughing in fits as we came up with our, I'd say, rather promiscuous fictional business, which you'll hear about right at the start. Jaya has by far been one of my most relatable, honest, transparent, practical, empathetic, and passionate guests that I've ever had on the show. In this episode, Jaya and I talked about managing, those C players in your team. And let's be honest, we've all had a few of those. And the strategies for handling employees who don't fit the company culture. We talked about the art of, not losing your mind while negotiating prices. We spoke about the failure in business that's inevitable and its importance as a learning tool, and her personal anecdotes about dealing with rejections. We shared personal reflections on financial freedom, the motivations behind entrepreneurship, the balance between professional and personal life, and so much more. I dedicate this episode to Jaya's late mother, who Jaya fondly remembers as a very kind and selfless person who was her biggest supporter from day one. She told me how her parents, despite societal norms of favoring boys, always treated her equally and encouraged her in her educational and professional path. You can tell that her mother's love and belief still remain a driving force in her life, pushing her to reach the stars, and the results are out there for everyone to see. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Without much further ado, here's Jaya Maru on the EO series of the My First Business podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Entrepreneurs Organization, or EO for short. Since its inception in 1987, EO has evolved into a vibrant global network now boasting 17,000 members across 60 plus countries. Now, just in the UAE, where they've been active since 97, it's especially impressive. They're approaching 150 members, representing an average revenue of $120 million and a combined workforce of 31,000 employees across diverse industries like technology, healthcare, healthcare, logistics, real estate, jewelry, media services, beauty, food and beverage, and I really could go on and on. EO's strength lies in the support and the opportunities it provides. As an entrepreneur, I understand how solitary this path can be, and that's where EO UAE comes in, offering these invaluable resources through its robust calendar of events, workshops, networking opportunities, and a mentorship program that pairs you with seasoned business leaders. So if you're a business owner in search of a supportive community, rich with networking and structured support through accountability groups and mentors, then EO might be just what you need. Curious about EO? Stay tuned for interviews with EO members on this podcast, including today's guests, just so that you can get a sneak peek of what's in store. For more information and to apply, check out the link in the show notes. Jaya.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to travel a lot of different places in this conversation. It's going to be
I'm excited and looking forward.
And I've been searching for the best way to start this conversation. And I thought it would be nice to start at something that we actually have shared in common. Imagine I'm a Shark Tank judge, and I want you to pitch Foreign Club to me. How would you describe Foreign Club for those who don't have an understanding of what I'm talking about?
Think of your deepest food fantasies, the most exotic ones. Food on demand, location on demand, wherever, whenever you want it. Mm-hmm. The most exotic food, the most established chefs for you whenever you want it. Get on a private jet. Be transported there within hours. So let your desires turn into reality instantly.
Yeah, I like the sound of going to a deserted island or a cliff in Greece.
Yeah.
Flown in with my private chef.
Yes.
And hand-picked materials.
With champagne coming from a particular vineyard in Napa Valley, mm-hmm. and sake then being flown in from Japan.
At a moment's notice.
At a moment's notice. All your food sprinkled with gold dust. Maybe some live shows as well while you're eating.
You're being serenaded by,
And maybe you can book company as well.
Make it a date.
Make it a date. That's the Foreign Club.
Oh my God.
Food porn.
So just to set the context for the listeners, Jaya and I were part of a team on a one-day workshop where we had to develop a new concept for a brand new business that we would start. And for some reason, food and porn go really well together as porn. And we had so much fun.
We had so much fun putting it together.
I think everyone else was seriously working on a business plan and marketing strategies. And we just sold the idea to ourselves.
We sold the idea and our energy was infectious. Like everyone's like, whoa, man, look at these two.
I know. I know. I think those 8 hours passed like 5 minutes for me that day.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a great idea like that. So many laughs. Like some of the ideas are too explicit to share on this podcast that we had on the business plan itself. And I think we can make a separate conversation about that.
Yes, absolutely.
But thank you for that. I think I award you $500,000 for a 50% stake in your company. Looking forward to get started with you. But the actual place I want to start when it comes to business is something I am constantly thinking about as a new business owner. And you are in the business of employee engagement and moving people and helping people be better versions and helping companies have better employees. I want to talk about C players versus rewarding the good players. C players, and I'll give you context. So my last conversation was with Dr. Sasan on this show, and he has these boards all around his office. One of the boards is called the A player versus C player board. And he has A players on the wall and then all the bullet points that define what an A player at GIT are. And then C players and what C players at GIT are. And his philosophy is like, if you constantly find yourself reading the C player and recognizing that's you, then you're not kind of cut out for it. And I wanted to ask from your perspective too, because we, as a new business, sometimes because we can't afford the best talent, and not saying that you only find good talent that is worth more money, but C players, how do you, in your business, manage C players, if at all you manage them? How do you deal with them? How do you work with them? How do you find the time for when someone's time is up? And it's a loaded question. And how do you think about it today versus when you started? When you first started, what has changed in your attitude towards C players?
So I think it's a very long journey. I remember when we just started Rewardz and the talk among the founders of hiring our first employee, and I was like, so what, you think we can't do it? Why do we need to hire someone to do it? And what if they don't do it the way we want it to be done? And there's so much anxiety because you're very protective about your business. It's like your baby and you want everything to be done to that same level of perfection that you do because it represents you. So you're always connected. And then when we hired our first employee, like you, ex-banking, right? I've been on management associate programs, gone through so many rounds of interviews and stuff. And you try to drill that into the process and you're always looking for the best, smartest talent. And yeah, maybe that was the approach that we started with a lot of fear, anxiety in terms of how do we hire, and we're looking for skill set and sharp people. But the evolution has been that now we hire based on value alignment. That we have defined very clearly that what are our values as a company. And we ask people to talk about their values and what do they think about our values, and we look for that alignment, because if they're not aligned with those values, then very soon they will get to the C players. And that's something, I mean, culture is just something too precious for an organization to dilute or destroy or to experiment with. And for people who do not align with the culture, we need to have chats. And we need to have those conversations, and we need to show empathy, and we do as leaders show empathy to have those conversations with them. And try to approach it with curiosity, that can you please explain to me what went on here? And then decide and keep it as open, as frank as you can, that these are our values and this is where I noticed that there's a bit of a gap. And we all have choices, and you should feel free to make your choice. And we are very supportive of that decision as well. I think when someone doesn't fit the culture and values of the organization, it's frustrating for the person at the other end as well. They feel like an odd one out. And then we support them with their exit and see what we can do. Because often, very, very often, the reason why someone is not performing is because it's a misfit in terms of a role. So we have been in situations where we've moved people from one role to the other, and that has worked. I mean, in something that was not really their cup of tea, and you move them to do something else. So be open and approach it with curiosity and have empathetic conversations, listen, try to understand, and then try to preserve the culture of the organization. If it's something that's not working out, then it's okay to say goodbye.
Yeah. These misfits for the role, or not a misfit as a person, but like someone who doesn't fit well in a role. What is some example of someone that you've moved around from one role to the other? I want to see the delta between like what causes that change. And also at the stage of the company that you're at, you need to have that additional role available too, right? So what would be an example of switching one person from is it a departmentally change, or within the same department, but something else?
Yeah, so I mean, I can share one example of someone I hired several years back, and one of the things that we spoke about was that, please, I'm good with everything, but don't ask me to cold call. I'm so fearful of like calling people. And I'm like, okay. And those were early days, so I was doing the cold calling myself. And then he would watch me and like but she started doing another level of calling to build our merchant partnerships. So that also requires to reach out to people and say that, you can come on board and be part of our catalog. But whenever she tried her hands on sales, it was something that did not work out well. Yes, the effort was there, but it didn't work out well. And she was very open and transparent with me about it. But now the same person has transformed completely. And in fact, has transformed so much with regular coaching and conversations. Absolute star in the sales process.
Yeah.
Absolute. And this has been a long time, like several years. And there were times when we were like, okay, now this is something that is, surprising me. And having those conversations, coaching, giving regular feedback that try working through this, and she's turned around completely. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so proud.
Yeah.
And I think patience pays off in some cases, and looking at it with empathy and curiosity, that what could be the thing. And sometimes people are not ready for things, but as long as their values align, and you're willing to take a long-term bet on certain people, it pays off. It's so rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
values that you're talking about, are they codified, or is this just like your heart matches my heart?
No. We have our values written.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what we do for organizations as well, right? So we have 7 values as an organization. And we used to have 5 values before that, but we redefined it. And the process that we went through in defining our values was we looked at Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0 by Jim Collins. And he has a chapter where he talks about the vision of a company. And the vision is comprised of purpose, mission, and values. And we went through an exercise which was almost 3 to 4 months long.
Wait, hold on. I thought you didn't read books.
My co-founder read the book, and he said that, Jaya.
Sorry.
And then I'm like, oh, okay. This chapter, okay, I can read this one chapter. Yeah, or
Because
better.
it looked like a textbook. That
Yeah,
chapter,
it
right?
looked like a textbook. There was a mission to solve that. Okay, tell me how to do this. And then it was explained.
Yeah.
And the nerd in me is like, okay, we have to do this. Come on, let's do it. And then we went through so many rounds of why that, and who are we, and a lot of reflection as individuals, that what is it that drives us. Like, the company is 11 years old now. And after 11 years, like, sometimes those sparks go missing. They're dimmer than what they used to when you just started. And it's almost like rebirth of an organization. So about 3 years ago, we went through this exercise where we defined the purpose, mission, and values of Rewardz, and some of them which are very dear to me. And the way we looked at values were like, we're not looking for aspirational values in terms of where we want to be, but the values are a reflection of who we are today as individuals, because that's how I behave. This is who I am. If I have a value that says that, the most efficient, like efficiency or innovation, I mean, that's almost expected of every tech company, that innovation. But our value is not innovation. Our value is being solution oriented. That yes, we have problem solving, we're building features, but everything with end in mind. That what is the problem that we're solving today? It's not just building features, like AI is so in, machine learning is in. Yes, we've added some parts of it to our product stack already, but it's not like we'll get obsessive about it and put it everywhere around. So being solution oriented is absolutely key. Resilience as a value is absolutely key, because the journey of an entrepreneur, there are so many days that are dark and gloomy.
What are you talking about? It's all sunshine and roses.
It's all sunshine and roses.
And rainbows too.
Yeah. In fact, I think the education system needs to bring in more resilience into people, because when we're in school, we're always moving up.
Yeah.
Grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're
Ooh.
always like pass. And if you ever fail, who are you? How can you fail a subject? How can you fail a class? How come you stayed back?
Yeah.
And your mind is trained to always move forward. But as a business owner, or even in the corporate world, do you fail? Do you get demoted? How often do people get demoted? You're either there or you move
You're out.
forward.
Yeah.
Or you move out. But
Yeah.
then taking a step back doesn't happen very much. And that's what business owners learn when they start their businesses, that there will be ups and there will be downs, and we have to pull ourselves together. We don't take it personally.
Yeah.
And show up.
Hello, everyone. I want to take a moment to share something that's really, really close to my heart. As you know, this podcast isn't just a series of episodes. It's you and I getting mentored by the wisest of the wisest. Each episode is crafted with care, aiming to bring not just stories, but wisdom and insight into the fascinating and sometimes lonely world of entrepreneurship. This is more than just a podcast. It's a personal mentorship session recorded on camera for all of us to learn and grow together. And this is where you come in. If any episode has resonated with you, your subscription or your vote means the world to me. Every subscription lights a fire inside of me and fuels me to keep delivering content that I wish had existed before I started this podcast 2 years ago. So I humbly ask for your support. Please hit pause now and find that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening to this. It's a small action for you, but it means everything to me. Thank you for being a part of this community and for your support and for choosing to walk this path with me. Stay curious and stay inspired. Thank you so much. You know, there was a time I actually fired myself. True story. It's just about talking about demotion. I demoted myself. I took the reins of one of the companies I was working in as the regional manager for a certain region. And I won that role basically because of my past experience and the fact that we had just gotten rid of the previous guy because he's behaving unethically. And I was the closest thing that they could get to get the thing moving. I was a complete misfit for the role. I was too young to take on charge of operations people, sales people, and traders in the financial services industry. And I tried my hand to do everything to manage. The first time in my life, I'm managing a P&L for a whole branch of operations for a whole region. And got to 2 or 1.5 years. Results were not there throughout. Right? At the end of the day, I'm judged by P&L. That's my job. And I went up to my boss at the time and I said, you need to find my replacement. He's like, you're leaving? I'm like, no, I'm staying. Not going anywhere. But you need to replace me. I need to move a level down and go back to doing what I know best, which is foreign exchange trading and sales and all that kind of stuff. And take away these extra responsibilities of managing people, coaching people and stuff. Just wasn't ready for it. I've come into it now, but you're right. Like sometimes we need that demotion in life because the zigzag of business does not match what our schooling system shows us at all.
And failure, unfortunately, like in the culture that I was raised.
Well, the whole Asian culture.
Asian
really.
culture is such a negative thing. We never look at it as an opportunity to learn, but now...
Yeah.
And that was very hard for me when I started Rewardz as well. Like every meeting that I go into, why is this person not being my client? Why is this person not going to sign up with us? Why is this investor saying no? And you would take it personally, but it's okay. You learn from it and you have to change perspective very quickly. And you're like, so what did I learn from this? What did I learn from this? And just soak it in, write it down.
Yeah.
Share the knowledge. And then it's okay. Like, there's something to be said about like how much you can soak in and learn, like while running Rewardz. There's so many times when I'm in a meeting and I'm like thinking about what I just said and I'm like, where did I get that from? And I remember the times when I was in investment banking and I would go with my bosses for meetings and I would be like, pretty cool what this guy just said. And then you just observe and you're subconsciously just absorbing so much and you never know where these
comes out.
Yeah. I'm sure you've had those kind of moments as well.
I can think of one particular one right now, especially in what we're talking about, like tying this back to C players. So I had a previous boss of mine that was kind of complaining to me, rightly, about the performance of a certain individual on our team. And his feedback was that, why doesn't this person care that much? Why doesn't they care? And I looked at him and I said, because it's not their business, it's your business. And he was the founder of the business. And I said, it's your business. Nobody is going to care as much as you. You cannot expect that of anyone on a salary to care as much as you do. They're not sleeping thinking about this. They're not waking up thinking about this. They have a job to do and they're going to do it and then go out. And I picked that up from someone else previously too. And suddenly I found myself saying this and I'm like, I'm so smart. And I was like, nope, not my original thing.
Yeah.
Maybe I even heard Gary Vee talk about it or someone like that, like someone I saw on social media explain this message in a way more articulate fashion than I just did. But that you can't expect the same level of care from your employees. And you can't brand them as C players just because they don't care.
Yeah.
I like your way of thinking, like, do they have these values? And some of these values link to performance.
Yeah.
As well, and then making that clear distinction because you need to have that performance conversation at some point too, and link it to the values. So I'm guessing you guys are doing that.
Yes,
link between values.
we link it to the values, and there's also another perspective that my co-founder kindly shared with me, and I actually agree with it. That stop looking for perfection, and not everyone is going to be a superhero in the organization. You're lucky if you're going to have like.
Can you tell Alina this when you meet her next?
It's so
Alina,
true.
if you're listening, a reminder.
Not everyone is going to be a super performer. I mean, that's the law of the universe. There are going to be some below average performers. There are going to be some average performer. Majority are going to be average performers. And you're going to get your creme de la creme, which is like 15-20% of the organization.
Even
and then
that's
you're
a
very
lot.
lucky if you have that. And focus on the values, on the trust. The trust is so key. I mean, performance, I think, for all of us, right? There are good years, there are bad years. But if the trust is held strong and you know that, this, and you're looking at empathy, this person will come around. And if you know your reasons for hiring the person and your values are aligned, it's a matter of time. They will come around. Yeah.
We call it vibes in our business. If the
What is
person
that?
has the same vibes as us, it's just another way to say values. It's because every time we've sat and written down our values, even on one of the EOA learning days, I think one of the exercises was to do that. But we're still operating from the heart a little bit, and we're judging like the energy that we get from it. And this is very like puffy kind of way to do it. But I'm looking to organize, like I'm a very left brain person. So I'm very creative, abstract, that kind. Alina is more right brain, which is why we're a great team. She can articulate these so well, but I'm more of a judge the energy kind of person. There's a question I asked one of my previous bosses, my ex-bosses, when I became a manager first, and I was looking for guidance around these situations, like C-player situations. And she asked me, she's like, if I had two people, one is a great performer, the top 10, 15%, and the other is an underperformer, who do you think I would spend more time on to work with? Would I work with the C player to help them improve? Or would I work with the A player who's already pretty good? Could you guess her answer? And she's an experienced manager who knows what she's doing. I really loved her. What do you think her answer was? Or what would your answer be?
What would my answer be? It's a very tough one, and I don't think there's any right or wrong. I would spend time on the C player. Because again, with the lens of curiosity that what's going on in there. Is there something that I can do to help? And that's the question I'm most commonly asking my team, that, how can I support you? What can I do to help? Are there any blockers your way? Is there something that's stopping? And asking and trying to learn that what's going on, tell me what's going on. And then you put a time frame to it, you try things out and help, coach, try different perspectives, okay, what's your wow moment? Do you want to work on something that you're really proud of? And then if it's not something that is going to work out, then have a graceful exit. I think it's good for both. It's healthy.
I think it's good for both, yeah. I agree.
Yeah, it's healthy. And we apply the same principle even in situations where there sometimes employees come to us like, I think it's time for me to move on. And I'm like, okay, yeah, tell me your reasons and why do you want to leave? And like, as part of my career and stuff. And recently we have had some of our long-term employees, like someone who was with us for 9 years recently left. And was it painful? Man, it was so painful. And it felt like, it's a part of us that's 9 years.
That's like family by
it's
that point.
family. I mean,
Yeah.
like, and he shared his reasons, and it was so painful, but he was moving for the right reasons. And you can tell that, from time to time, it's just business owners who love their baby so much. And like, you're always with your baby.
Yeah.
But out of 11 years of Rewardz, 9 years he was with us and he did such a phenomenal job. He's like, I've got this other thing and I want to take it up. And we're like,
Yeah.
that's fine. We keep in touch. We call that the alumni of Rewardz, the friends and family, and it was so beautiful when
Our door is always open for
it's
you.
always
when
open.
you come back.
And on our 10th anniversary dinner in Singapore last year, this year in February, all employees of Rewardz, past and present, were there in Singapore, and it was so beautiful. I mean, like. Even though they've been away, they're like, there's something special about Rewardz, that culture, that connection that we felt, and that energy when they come back and they're like, this is ours. And we're like, yes.
Good vibes.
The vibes.
Well, for a company that's selling employee engagement solutions, it's a prerequisite.
Yes,
You should have good systems of your own.
Yes.
That's amazing. It's so nice to hear. I've seen some of your pictures and GIFs and videos of your teams across the globe. And yes, obviously on social media it looks better, but like I've met you before and stuff like that. So I can totally set that as my North Star.
Yeah.
And like, how can we kind of create that? So I started doing these dad joke nights with my team. And our team is completely remote. So we do dad joke face-offs once in a while. And whoever laughs loses kind of thing.
That's a cool one. Maybe I should try it out too.
Yeah, they should. Because this is the fun thing about dad jokes. They can be bad. And you can laugh because they're so bad. And you don't have to laugh, they're so good. But going back to some of the things you're mentioning in there about failure in our culture, I heard this saying, but this person that I follow, a tech investor, VC kind of guy from San Francisco and the Valley, he says, especially to business owners, I hope you have your failure soon. Or I hope you have your failure early on. Otherwise, you're not going to be ready for what's to come in business.
Yeah.
And you'll be overconfident and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So I wanted to check with you. You've been in business longer than you've been in corporate jobs now. What has been your favorite failure? And by favorite failure, firstly, I've stolen this question from Tim Ferriss. Thank you, Tim. By favorite failure, I mean something that you're glad that happened, but it was kind of destroying you at the same time in the moment, and something that really helped you reshape some of your own assumptions about business or anything else inside it. What would be your favorite failure?
Yeah. There's so many failures, but I remember one particular one that I shared with the team. It was a RFP to one of the largest players in the region, and winning that deal would have just meant almost doubling our business on a top line basis, and like adding almost 50,000 users. And we worked so hard on it. It was like an RFP almost 1.5 years in making, and Sudhanshu flew down and we went to present together, and then we were down to the final 3 and we didn't make it. But that entire process taught me so much, because it showed me what the enterprise beast is and how much detail it involves. And to build a process, to come back and look at our own sales processes in terms of segmenting our clients to, okay, these are the small clients, these are the medium clients, and these are enterprise. What is our strategy going to be for enterprise? How are we getting these enterprise clients? Let's reflect all the enterprise clients that we have so far. How did these enterprise opportunities happen? And being more intentional about it. And then also, again, curiously just going back to them that, okay, you chose so-and-so to work with. tell me, give me feedback in terms of why you didn't choose us. And that feedback was so useful. I think
They were happy to
first
give that feedback.
yeah. I mean, kudos to me that I asked that question.
Yeah. Pat on the back.
That, like, my ego didn't come on the way. I like asked the question. Okay, tell me
Yeah.
why, and then they gave me the reasons, and I was like, whoa, I didn't even think that you would look at it this way. But I was then more conscious about certain things, and it helped. It really, really helped.
What's an example of something that enterprises are looking for? Because I feel like it could translate to different industries, not just Rewardz. But
Yeah.
do you remember any points from their decision-making toolkit?
One of the points was that, if you're putting a project team together for us, and these are our requirements, and if you put like 40% of your organization is going to be part of us, then how does that work? And I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it like that. So then the learning was that we need to look at our strengths and realize that we are in a position to leverage on something that's much bigger, that we are part of a $4 billion company that's listed on the Tokyo Stock Exchange. So then in these opportunities, we go in as a joint pitch with our parent company and leverage on that we are not 60 employees, we are 1,500 employees, and that gives that level. And we never thought about it that way. And I'm like, oh, wow. And unless they told me, I would have never thought about it like that.
Yeah, it's funny though, right? Because like some people would be like, you can tell them we're small and nimble. That's our advantage.
Yeah.
We move fast. We're like one family, small family working for you.
Yes.
And for some people, it'd be like, no, I want to see that you're a beast.
Yeah.
A big beast like me.
Yeah. So you can, you can choose to show where you want to be the beast, yet how it's carved out and how agile this part of the entity is. So I think unless they shared it with us, we would have never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. And like also seeing your sales process, and I'm guessing, like, here's a thought in my mind. It's obviously different for enterprise versus smaller accounts. And the thinking I was having this morning is remembering from one of my favorite authors that I read a lot of, Nassim Taleb. He talks about scale and our response to scale a lot. And by scale, I mean the size of things. So he says very eloquently, and I will butcher it, but he says, a town is not a small city. A city is not a small country. A country is not a small continent. A continent is not a small world. And he says, like, you need to approach the rules and regulations that govern these little pockets much differently. You don't run a country like you run a city. Very different dynamics.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing for you, the sales process is wildly different for enterprise versus small, or are they matching somewhat? And
there is a bit of an overlap.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a little bit of an overlap, but you realize even in terms of a mindset, right, the amount of time that it takes to close and the amount of time that it takes to implement, the team is prepared. They know that this is an enterprise client, and sometimes they'll be filling up documents and they'll be asked to produce the same thing 3 times, and then they'll be tired of answering the same questions, and then there will be 100 people.
About this process.
There will be 100 people that they will be talking to in the organization, and that organization people are not talking to each other, and you're like, But I think just that mindset and like being prepared for it yourself and letting your team be prepared for, be ready for this. And don't get frustrated when this happens, because this is expected.
Right.
This is expected. It is going to happen. Like if you think about it, that no, but they're part of the same company. How come they don't know? Why don't they just talk to each other? Like it's not going to happen. It's all right.
Patience.
And I've been there, right? I mean, I was in a large organization.
Yeah.
Best banking institute in the world. Everyone's dream to work there. Handling private banking clients, calling me to talk about their credit card. And I'm like, don't talk to me about your credit card. I don't have anything to do with retail bank. And guess what? I'm calling the same hotline number as they would be to solve their problem. And I'm like, yeah, we really don't have a way to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know where their office is.
Yeah. Even if they're just sitting right under me, I don't even know where to go and look for them. It is those large organization.
100%. And new people keep coming into the project while you're pitching, and then they share some new requirements. You're like, I did all this work to prepare the proposal.
Yeah.
And now this new person who has some legacy input into the whole thing is now back, and now she doesn't care or he doesn't care about what's already been discussed. This is the new thing that I'm expecting.
Yeah.
Or even after you start.
Yeah.
After you implement.
No, it was always supposed to be like this. I'm like, you saw the demo.
Yeah.
You have this all document.
It's a different beast for sure.
No. Like a few days before Good Light. No, but our management has said that this has to be like this. And then I'm like, excuse me. So those are tough and
But it's expected now for you. Now you know that this is part of the game.
I think you also build a little bit of thick skin and you're more very transparent. Earlier, my reaction would be of fear.
Yeah.
That, oh no, the client wants this. What are we going to do? But now I'm like, just tell them what happened. This has been discussed. This is what it is. These are our options. If you really want it this way, then it's going to take this much extra time and this much extra money.
Yeah.
What is important to you? Is it going live on this day or you need to have it this way? Because we cannot do everything. So let's just have a conversation about what is important and let's just focus on the key priorities. And I think prioritization is just such an important way of doing things. What is critical to you? What is high? What is medium? What is low? Because there are n number of issues. And me being a perfectionist, every issue is an issue to me and every issue needed to be crossed off when I remember looking at our app at the first time. No, this is not right. No, this is not right. This needs to be changed. This needs to be changed. And then constantly I learned a lot from my co-founder, Sudhanshu. She was like, Jaya, prioritize. What is critical? Yeah. What is high? What is just a soft touch up and all? Okay. And now I'm always prioritizing in my head to the extent that this is very funny.
Yeah.
We recently renovated our house.
Okay. I've seen the previous. I haven't seen the new.
Come. Yeah, you have to see the new one. And from everyone around me, they said that, there are a few things that are sure to break a marriage or create a huge conflict. One
house
of them
renovation?
is house renovation.
Were you walking around with a list?
So I sat down with Neeraj and I said that, listen, Neeraj, you make your list of what you want. I'll make my list of what I want. And please, let's rank it. What is critical? What is high? What is medium? What is low? And you look at my list. And whatever is a critical for both of us, of course, we'll do it. Whatever is maybe a low for you and a high for me, let's talk about it. And let's come to some kind of a conclusion and let's have a finite list. I even put okay, if we're going to change this, is it movable? Is it not movable? Is it something that we can do in our next big house? What's the cost associated with it?
I love this.
And we spent 2 hours talking about it.
So you have a board meeting at home?
And he was like, oh my God. But I think it just gave us so much clarity.
Yeah.
We did not have a massive scope creep
in
our renovation, that we stuck to the plan. We kind of finished on time, but there are many small parts that are still not done and it's frustrating. But we didn't go in a thing that, let's do this as well. Let's do this as well. We were both very, very clear about what is important and what is it that we're working on.
Yeah.
And this is the time frame and this is the budget. And that's it. Finish.
I love it. You're so right. Some things that you learn from business kind of creep into your personal life for the betterment of it. So, for example, the project management tool that we use for the business, because as business owners, you have to be organized. Especially if you have a team, you're not just like solopreneur working on their own projects. It's not just all in your head. And we started using it for other stuff.
Yeah.
And we have checklists.
Yeah.
And repeated checklists and for example, when my mom and dad came to live with us last year for 4 hours, we used our project management tool
4 hours
to do the...
4 hours, they came...
They came for 4 months.
I'm like...
Yeah, they came. That's how much I love you, Mom. 4 hours is all you get from me. You'd get on that plane, come here, 4 hours, you're back. 4 months they came, and we had a project management thing, before they come, when they come, when they have to leave, and groceries list, every weekly checklist for groceries, how to stock. We're not used to living with our parents, right? I'm like, I can't keep this all in my head. And we started using that. We're such nerds like that. Which is why I think this is going to be the funnest 2 hours I was going to spend.
Nerds. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. No, I think also going back to that thick skin and developing the prioritizing with the clients and the enterprise kind of clients, and that's something. So I'll speak for Alina, and she's going to hate me for this, but she's a people pleaser, right? Like as her nature. And I think she's now starting to develop thicker skin. But where I have a lot more experience with client management, for example, I've been managing clients and enterprises for over a decade, 15 years or so. So I've learned I can be sometimes too extreme in the saying the no. Like client come with a request before they finish the sentence, I'm like, no. Before they even finish, I'm like, no, not going to happen. Versus Alina, and I love the balance that we both have. So she'll look at like every little thing, like I need to resolve this. What helped you grow a thicker skin? Was it more practice over time? Was it mentorship from your co-founder? Are there any lessons that you can share from your personal journey in becoming less of a people pleaser and more pragmatic with pushing back and stuff like that? Because a lot of people are not especially first business owners or first-time business owners, pushing back on clients.
Yeah. So I think it's a lot to do with also the phase of your business. Of course, initially, whatever is out there, you want to go and grab it and you want to do it extremely well. But as you scale up, especially being a tech business, right? I mean, the more customizations that we do and the more variations we have to maintain, it becomes very messy and to manage, and it's a pain for the tech team, and I see their pain, and then I see things breaking down. And that led me to just understand that, when this client asks for this is something that's going to bite us in the long term. So I have to think more long term rather than short term. In the short term, yes, it's very easy for me to say that okay, I'll do this. But in the long term, that's going to come and bite me.
Not sustainable.
It's not going to be sustainable. So the thing about, ultimately, it's a people's business. Tech is not a app business, or it's a people's business. The relationships matter. When things hit the roof and like shit hits the fan, you need to be there to listen to them, to manage the situation. Yes, you can give them the best of technology, but you need to be there to listen to them and to project manage and to service them. And I think that's what we do extremely, extremely well. So having those open, transparent conversations with our clients to underpromise and overdeliver, to help them understand and rationalize that, this is what works for you, this is what may not work for you, and these are reasons why this will not work, and this is why it will fail. And if this is ultimately something that you want, then being very transparent about this is how much it will take in terms of time, this is how much it will take in terms of money. And sometimes even like being like, when they see the cost associated with it, they will hopefully have that
money,
moment,
the
like
great
forget
motivator.
it.
Money is the greatest motivator.
Price it out,
all.
because otherwise, people like to push you that no, you can do this. And I love my clients, but sometimes there are things which are not necessary.
Yeah.
Let's look at the 90% of the issues that you have, and does this solve 90% of the things? Of course, nothing is going to be perfect, but is it solving 90% of what you need? And then let's focus on that. Let's do that well. And then my biggest mantra to clients is like, let us do it based on user feedback. Let us not do it based on what you and I think on this table, because we are just magically expecting people to, this is what people will like and this is what they... Let it be based on actual user feedback. Go live with this. Let's see what your users think about it, and then let's build from there. Because if we come up with a list of what you and I think on the table, we will never get the project done.
Yeah.
We will never get it live, and that boat will sail.
Yeah.
And then by that time, there will be another error or some feature that comes up and like, no, before we go live, we need to add this. So the most important is to know what is it that you need to go live with, and then monitor the feedback and act on that feedback from users.
This is a brilliant part about working in tech, right? You can have a lot of quicker feedback without like too much of a heavy investment. And we used to tell our clients kind of the same thing, that your idea means jack shit until it interacts with its first user.
Yeah.
Because that's the feedback you need. You and I can sit here and do workshops. We put post-its on the wall.
Yeah.
You can do brainstorming. Yes, you can collaborate with other departments, but it means jack shit until someone who's actually going to use the product uses it the first time. That's going to be your true test of this idea has legs or not, or your feature has legs or not.
Absolutely.
And just let them decide for you.
Yes, absolutely.
I was also smiling in there in between because I could imagine you having similar conversations with Yash. When he's asking for a few things, you're like, okay, let me be pragmatic with you, Yash. What you're asking, I can do in the short term, but I can't do it in the long term sustainably. And here's how much it would cost you, Yash. For the audience, Yash is her eldest son.
Yes,
right?
yes. Yeah.
Who is, how old is he now?
He's 10.
Has he reached this level of conversations
Yes,
with you
absolutely.
yet?
Yeah, absolutely. We had a conversation about money one day because I don't know, suddenly like in the last 1 year, I've noticed him talking about business class, that why are we not flying in business class? And I'm like, you even think about that? Aren't you grateful that we're doing like 2-3 holidays every year already? Like, what is this thing about business class? And then I sat him down one morning and I'm like, Yash, we all work for this many years in our life. And then we save for the time where we're going to be living but not earning. So we have to work intentionally towards that pool of money. And we have choices that we are making today that will affect that pool of money tomorrow. So tell me, what is a good choice today? And guess what? If I make those smart choices today, I'm not going to burden you when I retire.
And this kid is just sitting there going, I just wanted a chocolate, mommy. Not this lecture on business class and the future and my mortality and retirement.
It's
Did he get it? Did he understand, you think?
Temporarily. And then he was like, Mama, I think I want Air Jordans. And I'm like,
let's do this again.
Yeah.
You know what I remember from Neeraj when we came over? One of the things about this topic that he really gave me a really good nugget that had stuck with me. He said, and I think we were talking about business class flights, and I don't know if you know what I'm going to talk about, but he said, if you can afford double of it and without sweat, then it's for you. Or that was his model. He's like, I always look at like, if this is that much, business class, if it was double the price, would I still get it?
Yeah.
And then I get it. Because that's when you know your comfort level with your different kind of spending. And I've kind of thinking about that a lot for like purchases that I want to make.
Yeah.
If I look, for example, I want to get a new phone. Like if this phone was double of it, would I get it? Yes, I would get it. Okay, then get the first one. But there are certain things like cars. If it was double, would I get it? No, should not get that one. Okay, we talked about your partners in there in between as well.
Yeah.
I want to dig into that because I have a partner too, or I'm married to her, but you're not married to your partners, but it is kind of a marriage. How do you avoid groupthink? And this might be different because you are different kind of people, but like you've been in business together for 12 years now and they've always been co-founders together.
Yes.
Okay. Have you gotten in areas where you've group thunk your way out of like into a bad situation? And do you make a conscious effort to play devil's advocate to each other? Like how does, especially new ideas. So let's not talk about improvements in the current process or business, but taking on something new or adding something to the business that doesn't exist before. How do you deal with each other's different perspectives? Is there a structure to how you guys jam with each other? I'm just curious on how you guys do it because I have my own experiences with it.
Yeah. So I think, Rewardz came together with very specific talents from each one of us. Yes, we are all ex-banking, but we all bring very different perspectives into the company. Nicole is an operations queen. She can go into so much detail and so quickly that before you finish the sentence, it will be done. It will be done. And like so meticulously, so perfectly. Sudhanshu is technology. Like, I hate to admit this, but tech is not my friend. Tech keeps breaking down on me. But he's the tech guru. And I'm like, whenever it's anything that's tech, that's his world. Strategy is an area that we overlap. Strategy, finance, we overlap, and then comes sales, which is something that all founders, interestingly in our business, when we look back, that all the major deals have been brought to the table by the founders. So we are very actively involved in sales. All of us sell. And then there's marketing, which is with me. Human capital is with me. So we have our areas very cleanly defined, and we try not to step into each other's shoes. And when
What about strategy, though, if that's an
Yeah.
overlap?
So strategy for us is because we have a strategic investor in place. There is a lot that's driven by what they are expecting from the business. And for some time, it was a bit of a concern to us where we were thinking growth and they were thinking profits. And they were thinking cash. And sometimes it became a little bit frustrating. But I think that gave us such amazing grounding to build a business, a tech business that is profitable. And on a thinks about profit before we're very prudent in our spending. I have been operating in UAE with a 3-people team for the last 8 years.
I know. I looked on LinkedIn. I went to Rewardz.
Yeah.
I looked on LinkedIn. I filtered by UAE, and I saw 3 names. I'm like, that's not possible.
Yeah.
Because like the client roster that you guys have,
Yeah.
and it's like 3 people.
Yeah.
Like, how are you doing this?
Yeah. We're very prudent.
Very lean.
Very lean and mean. And I think that helped us beautifully in touch wood. In COVID, we were not in a situation where we had to fire anybody or take away anyone's paycheck or reduce anything. In fact, I remember clearly the conversation, I think just a few weeks before we were about to finalize increments and bonuses, because and I was the one who kind of raised my hand and I said that, guys, it's COVID. Let's be a bit more prudent about our spending. We love our team, and yes, they've done the hard work, but we are entering a very shaky environment and we don't know what's going to happen. There are clients falling off. There are clients who are reducing their budgets. Let's not build a cost base where we know that, we may have to cut back. And we just deferred the payout of the increments and the bonuses, but we continued. And I think that's where prudence pays off. Most people were cut off from their organizations with very short notices and like lesser paychecks, but we continued. And I think that's driven by all of us being prudent and our investor teaching us that prudence pays off. There's no point, especially in the tech world, right? Everyone has an expectation from you that you're growing extremely fast and you're a huge spender and you're advertising and your ads are all over the internet and you're giving out free trials to all your customers to try out the product, and then never mind, use it for 3 months. When you're ready, we'll tell them, like, no, why should we be giving out free trials? I mean, it's enough. It's not rocket science for them to understand. And what are you going to do with a free trial? In an organization of 500 people, how will you activate it if I give it to you for free? Will you activate it? No, you will not activate it. And after 3 months, you'll come back and tell me that, Jaya, no one used it. We don't know if this works for my organization. I'm like, I'm here to explain whatever you need to know. Here are the video recordings. You want to use it for 1 week? Try it out. Be comfortable with the experience. Ask me whatever you want to ask me. But till date, no free trial. No free trial.
Yeah, I don't think people respect free trials the same way they respect a paid trial.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think you devalue your own product by offering it for free.
Yeah.
Or you offer a shitty version of your own product to make it possible, which doesn't leave a good taste in the mouth of your potential customers in the first place, right?
Yeah.
I think you should, like, I'm with you on that. Like, I demand to be paid.
Yeah, at the most, I will say that, okay,
I mean, business is not a charity.
Yeah, it's
there's
not a
other
charity.
ways to market myself.
And I'm so open in telling my clients this. And I think in the last 3-4 years, I got that comfort to say that, when they come back to me about pricing and they're like, oh, ultimately it's an app and there's not much to do. And I'm like, you are a profit generating business and so am I. I have costs to meet. And I want my company to be profitable so that we can continue to be around when you need us. So let's be
I love
reasonable.
that. I love the way you put that. That is so professional and it says so much.
Yeah, I'm like,
Oh, this was worth it. This one sentence was worth it.
And when people start negotiating on pricing, I'm like, okay, now tell me.
Yeah.
What is your expectation on the pricing? If you're going to tell me that, Jaya, cut it by 50%, let's close this conversation. Tell me what is your expectation on the pricing, and having those open conversations. Yes, do we work out different pricing models for different clients? Yes, but then that expectation has to be realistic. Like, what are you expecting? I remember going to one of the largest companies here, and they wanted like 2,000 employees to use our platform. 1,000 dirhams a month. And I'm like, my time coming here to meet you. 1,000 dirhams a month, seriously? Goodbye.
Yeah. I had this workshop that I did for a group of female entrepreneurs, mostly micro businesses. And one of the topics was negotiation, because I've been doing sales for so long and I can always learn more. It's not like I know everything about it. But one of the ways, I wonder if this is true for you, I look at negotiation in these kind of situations, B2B sales, is if you're going to maneuver around your pricing, get something in return.
Yes,
absolutely. Get some compromises, like I'll do this if you do that.
Yeah.
And there's always something to ask for, whether it's reduction in scope, whether it's like a delay in start or faster start.
Yeah.
I'll reduce if you start tomorrow. There's always something that the other party should put in. But you yourself offering that discount without getting anything back, you're going to be taken for a ride in 6 months down the road and 1 year down the road and 2 years down the road.
Yeah.
And guess what? That client is going to put such a strain on your team that the other clients that deserve your energy are not going to get the right amount of energy because that one toxic client is ruining it for everyone else.
Yeah. I remember even one of our first client here. So when we entered the UAE market, we were just selling a wellness product called Fabulous. And it allows...
As your first one, right?
Yeah. And allows companies to run steps challenges and give points to people based on healthy behaviors and lifestyles.
Does that just mean you're less flabby? You're fabulous. I'm joking.
Yeah, that's where it came from, honestly.
Really?
Fabulous, something that's fun, catchy. And the client told me that, I think they wanted 1/3 of the price that I quoted them. And they're like, we'll be your first client. You can leverage on our branding and you can do so much. And I'm like, you know what? And they told me how they were doing it before. They were like, everyone counts their steps and then they take screenshots and they would send it to us and then we'd compile. And I'm like, oh, wow. Amazing.
People will count their steps manually.
No.
Okay.
On their apps, they would count, and then they would send screenshots to a group WhatsApp, and then that would be compiled. And I'm like, okay, I can.
For effort.
Yeah, I can. I mean, I don't even know why you choose to do this kind of work.
Your intentions are pure, but your operations are.
Yeah, I mean, like, how can you be doing this? I'm like, our product is going to make this so seamless for you, and this is the price. What I'm asking is not unreasonable. And I held back. I mean, like, so tempting, right? Your first client, it's there, but are you going to say no or not? And I said no. I walked back, and after like 10 days, I got a call that yes, we are ready to go forward with you. And I'm like, wow, well done, Jaya, well done. Yeah.
I want that to happen for more people.
Yeah.
Honestly, in the world of sales, especially.
Yeah.
For them to have the courage to walk away from deals that just don't feel right to do and not be too desperate. The same workshop with micro businesses, most of the ladies there were mentioning, but we have to do the discount. We're a small business. We want the testimonial. And I don't know, my gut says you don't need them. You don't need them. Like, stay true to yourself. And listen, I've left money on the table and I've got a shouting from my friends, other entrepreneurs. like, you're stupid. This is Dubai. This is how it works. You have to get
Yeah.
the deal.
Yeah.
This guy's connected to that guy. And, like this whole market knows
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. And the red flag that I get from these clients is, they'll ask for a discount, but they'll be like, oh, we have a huge network. We'll introduce it. They never do. They never do.
Never do.
They never do.
The
They're just
other
playing.
thing, I don't know, this myth about Dubai, a lot of people are like, you have to be friends with procurement. To get deals, you need to, give something in return and stuff. And I'm like, that's like totally not aligned with
Never
my
happened.
values.
Yeah.
And it's never even come across. Like, no one has even suggested it to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
And to everyone else who's listening about like doing business in Dubai and being a woman entrepreneur in Dubai, especially flying in. So when I flew into Dubai, it was my first time. Like when we moved, it was my first time ever visiting. And all these myths that, you don't get any respect as women. No one will hear you. Tech world is like dominated by men. Forget it. Locals, they just look at locals and stuff. Rubbish. Complete rubbish. I think it's an amazing city that we live in. And I love Singapore. But I love Dubai too. There's so much that you can do. There's so much opportunity. And you just have to put your head down, work hard, find your space, that this is what I'm going to do. Have clarity about what is it that you want to achieve. And you will find a way in this city.
Yeah, I think that attitude that you have, like the crowd that I grew up around had this general tendency to complain about anything and everything, right? So when things aren't working out for you, you always look outward and say like, oh, what will happen of me in this city? Or like, oh, you know how the rules are, you know how this is, you know how that is. And people who find a way to complain about external circumstances will always find a way to not do well.
Yes.
Versus like someone with an attitude like yours, which I do appreciate and admire, and I wish to have more of it. So these conversations are also reminders for me to keep that thing like, no, it can happen. It will happen. If I do my share, it will happen. But I will not sit and blame external circumstances that I do not control.
Yeah.
And like it's a good reminder for me today as well, because I do get into a worry knot in my head. I'm like, oh, but I'm not cut out for this. Everyone is so much smarter than me and cooler than me, and they can do everything better than me. But I think having that reminder, thank you for that, that you can make it happen.
Yeah. I remember the day I decided to expand Rewardz into the UAE. So I moved here with my husband, got a job here, and I was not very sure about, Rewardz was just 2 years old. And our story is very interesting, by the way. We started Rewardz, and 2 weeks later, I found out that I was pregnant with my first baby.
So you're having two babies.
Two babies.
Business baby and actual baby.
And then like a few weeks later, Nicole and Sudhanshu are like, we're pregnant too. We're like, oh my.
What?
Yeah.
All three founders?
Yeah.
Wow.
So Nicole and Sudhanshu are husband wife.
I've heard of other cycles matching, but not pregnancy cycles.
It was so funny. We're like, oh my God. Like how? And we'd been trying to have a baby for a long time, but the moment I quit and I started this, I don't know, part of me was so fulfilled and so happy. Immediately I'm pregnant and I'm like, oh
God's
no,
ways.
how? And then like both Nicole and I pregnant, walking around Singapore trying to like start this business, and then later with our young kids like while breastfeeding and like pumping and like still trying to continue the business. And soon after, like Yash was a year old when we moved to Dubai, and I'd never been to this place, and I'm like, what's going to happen to Rewardz and my little baby that I left in Singapore? And then I said that, no, I'm going to grow it here. So I waited for a few months, and I started with a spreadsheet of writing down names of companies that I'm going to contact, and then just being diligent about reaching out to them. And I remember some of the replies that I got, because I think it was June when I started.
Just cold emailing?
Yeah, cold emailing, cold calling. I knew nobody in this city. Nobody, absolutely zero, zilch. And in fact, there was a time when I thought about going back to work as well, because it was just so overwhelming, the thought of starting something all by yourself. Like Nicole and Sudhanshu had each other there. I was in a new place all by myself and trying to grow this business. And And yeah, one of the first phone calls I made was in June, and they said, Yala, my boss is traveling till September. You reach out to us in September. And I'm like, so what?
So there
like
is a
June,
chance?
July, September?
Yeah.
You will not work. You will not make any decisions for 3 months. And I was
Welcome
just
to Dubai.
completely shocked. I'm like, how does this happen? Yeah, because Singapore, things move very fast.
Yeah.
Things move
Well, the
extremely
US, Canada, Singapore, things move fast.
Yeah.
Europe and Dubai. Summer
Yeah,
is not for working.
I was like completely shocked, and I told them that, guys, it's summer in Dubai, and guess what? Everyone's traveling, and they're like, really? Who did they delegate to? I'm like, I don't know. They're saying call us again in September, and yeah, that's then. But this still continues. I think in Dubai when there's decision making slows down, but that's the time we usually take to look inwards and plan for the second half of the year.
Yeah, as you know what? This summer actually, so we kind of almost for our business write off August because August is just terrible for business. We have no ways of reaching new prospects. For some reason, we've had the best August in the last 4 years of being in business.
Amazing.
Deals left, right, and center.
Amazing.
Because I feel like a lot of business owners this time around were doing a lot of that inward thinking. They were sending their general managers on travels. They were telling their teams like, you go, I'll handle it. And they're sitting around thinking like, we need to change something. 2023 is going to end. And like what's with our marketing is not working. We need to find a new partner. And it was amazing. And we just kept seeing on our Instagram, everyone is traveling. So we just assumed everyone is traveling. And then a lot of these inquiries were inbound. So we weren't even making the effort to reach out because we'd almost given up. August, we don't. We'll fix our own processes. We'll look at our operations. We'll open our spreadsheets and do planning for next year. But we didn't have time. So we're running on very low fuel because the time that we needed for our introspection, we never got it. I mean, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah,
like
it's a good problem.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
Not complaining at all. I want to switch gears a little bit. And one of the reasons why people start business, whether they say it or not, is to chase a sort of freedom. Right. And one of those freedoms is financial freedom. So I've been asking people on this podcast, what does that term mean to them? If it ever comes across their mind, what does financial freedom mean? And I've heard a bunch of different responses. You asked me before we started recording, what are the common elements of, some of the things that people have said. And I didn't want to bring up financial freedom because I wanted to hear your version. But I wouldn't say there's a theme around it. I have some interesting answers, but I'd love to hear what it means to you, because the more I talk about it, the more color I add to this whole phrase that is very popular. Money is, I think, one of the most talked about subjects, but the least understood of all subjects too. So haven't been in business 12 years, haven't had a successful corporate career as well. How do you think about financial freedom? What does that mean to you?
Okay. So it's a very interesting topic. And for me, money is not important. The freedom to do what I want to do to build this business is more important. And that's why I'm an entrepreneur, because it gives me so much freedom to do what I want to do, to build, to co-create, to coach. And the money is the byproduct. It will come. And this is one of my, when I was interning, one of my bosses told me that, Jaya, work hard, the money will come. Don't think about money, it will come. And I've always followed, I think I was just like 20 when he told me this. And I've stuck to it, that the money will come. And it's maybe easy for me to say it because, my husband has always been working and he's in banking. Banking has very decent, respectable paychecks. And that stability for me, the anchor comes from him, that even when, business has not been as I'd like it to be, or it's not met my targets, like that cushion is there. So my version of it is that, I have freedom to build, to grow. And yes, of course, I have my source of income, and that makes me feel very empowered. And I know there's a big pot sitting at Rewardz, and it will monetize, but that's not a driver for me. The driver is the purpose. And it's very interesting. Like recently, I attended a talk about someone talking about purpose, and we've been spending so much time thinking about it, and talked about entrepreneurs and their personal purpose and the purpose of their business. And it was at that moment I realized that there's like such a huge overlap. It's almost like identical. Purpose for me as a person and purpose for Rewardz. And our purpose is to build moments of joy in a world where you always feel valued. And that drives me as a person too, to build these moments of joys for everyone around me, to make sure that they feel valued. And that's how I look at it. So every morning that gets me up and to work towards that.
Most mornings.
Most mornings, yeah.
Some mornings are a bit more challenging.
Yeah, some mornings can be, yeah.
But it's nice to have that purpose on those mornings too, that things aren't looking that bright, that you can actually reflect on that, like, okay, this is part of it. Like, this is part of the journey, right?
Yeah.
I think it ties into something you've alluded to earlier, and I'm just going to correct my assumption if I may, but you're not chasing growth for growth's sake. Right? Like when you're trying to build a business sustainably.
Yes.
And I like your answer. Like if I were to connect the dots for myself out loud here, it seems to me, because I have a similar answer, I'm developing a similar answer for myself, that I've left growth on the table for our business. Because sometimes the things we need to do to grow the business don't align with our purpose and our values. And it comes at extensive cost, not monetary, but to lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to reconcile that because, like, as an EOA type business, right? Your goal in that crew of businesses, get to your $1 million.
Yes.
Shut up, put your head down, get to your $1 million. We'll talk about everything else, the human side of things, once you get to that level. And our journey to that $1 million is going to be slower, because I think both Alina and I are very reflective on these kind of things. And we're older too, right? Like I started when I was 33. I'm 37 now. So there's a lot that has already been baked in terms of like the need for speed, and, you know, testosterone level just slowly start going down as you get older. It's men, all of you, not just me. And you stop being so aggressive with growth and everything. So I don't know what would you say to smaller businesses that are, if you were to go back to, would you do it the same way, like ignore the growth for growth's sake and don't chase the money will come?
Yeah.
Does that work for everyone, or do you need to have somewhat of a monetary target to fuel you to take certain decisions? I'm torn between both of these.
See, for the targets are important. Money is always important, but how much money, it differs depending on which stage of life are you in and which stage of the business are you in. We have very ambitious targets for Rewardz. In fact, we want to be the largest reward and recognition company in the world by 2030. That's our mission.
Okay.
So yes, we are ambitious about growth and we want to do that. But that's not more important than purpose in terms of what we're doing, in terms of the kind of clients that we're working with, in the amount of joy that we're having working with our employees. For me, that purpose-driven working, the freedom of shaping Rewardz, of creating the company of my brilliant co-founders, I mean, that's far more valuable than growing the business. The growing of the business happens as a byproduct of all these things being in together, being clear about my purpose, having a fantastic team with me, having fantastic clients, and growth happens. So of course that foundation is very, very important. So don't just put a number there and say that I have to reach that. But yeah, to reach that, you need to have a structure in place. And what is that structure? Do you have the right community? Do you have the right co-founders? Do you have the right skill set? And work towards that, and then the money will come. So I'm not saying that money is not important, but just being obsessed about money, because if you're just thinking about money and that is you will take short-term decisions, you'll make shortcuts, you will be too aggressive, you will grow without being sustainable. and then boom, you'll have a moment where you're like, it exploded. Pop, party's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe in that.
Yeah.
So for young business owners as well, I mean, I have conversations with many of them, and I'm like, what is your why? Be very, very clear about it. And what is the structure and the foundation that you have in place for helping you reach or meet that why, and to see where you want to be? Is your foundation right? Is your foundation strong? Is there trust in your company? Do you enjoy working with these clients? Do you really, really enjoy this? And work on those foundations. Growth comes at a cost. There have been times where my kids are staring at me and they're like, just get off your laptop. Get off your laptop, get off the phone. And they're upset. But you find your ways to work around it. I remember this one morning recently, like I woke up at like 2:30 in the morning. And we were staying in a service apartment while the house was getting renovated. And I went down and I was working from 2:30 to 6:30 in the morning before the kids wake up. And did I feel bad about it? No, I didn't. I was just like, I had to get like 5-6 hours of rest. I was not feeling up in terms of my high energy. And am I beating myself up about, oh shit, I have to wake up at 2 and work till 6. That's so stupid. How crazy. I didn't sign up for this. I felt good that, I wanted to do this. I pulled myself out. I did it. And now it's done. Khalas. Now next. What is next? So what gives you that high? It's very, very important to know that.
The why, yeah.
The why. What gives you that why? So for some people, it may be like, yes, I want to work, but I don't want to work for more than 6 hours a day. And I want to have my 5 holidays in a year. And I don't want to be working through my holidays. Then I think that is a dream. I mean, it doesn't happen very early. I mean, they're very, very long nights, blood, tears, sweat that go into building an institution. And then again, if you're a one-man team and you're just running a solopreneur business, then it's just you. But as Rewardz, we want to create a legacy. We want to build a business that will live beyond us, beyond the co-founders. There will be a team in place to take this forward. There are jobs that Rewardz has created for and their livelihoods that are being driven by this. And that's what we want to create. And it requires hard work. It requires making tough decisions. So you need to know what is it that you're doing it for. For me, it's a big sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's a few red flags. I think you were staring into my soul. So I still have a dream. I'll be working 6 hours. I will take 2 naps a day, holidays. Oh, we came back from Istanbul. I didn't check. I didn't reply to an email. I checked. I didn't reply to a single email for 7-8 days.
Yeah.
And I want to be the counter example. But I know for a majority of people, like Alina can't get off, and her why is so strong.
Yeah.
Exactly what you're describing. The hustle just comes as a byproduct of the why.
Yeah.
It's not, I want to be a hustler. It's like I'm chasing this particular thing, and the hustle is just like happening automatically. Like my body's moving, my brains are moving.
Yeah.
I'm just generally a lot lazier. That's a skill set though, because I'm a master delegator. I love delegating, and I love finding people to work with, and I love building systems.
Yeah.
So that's my thing. Like, how can I do something once that can be translated and can be reused over and over again?
That's a brilliant skill set.
Like even this particular podcast, if you look at my checklist, I spent a ton of hours building it, but I don't have to think about it now.
Yeah.
It just happens automatically. There's someone who will get the files after this, someone who knows what to do exactly for the next 15 steps.
Yeah.
While I'll be napping. I'm sorry, Bianca and Rohit. You know I work hard, right? You guys know that's my team.
No, but I agree with you. I mean, why to keep repeating? Because I don't know, but I get into this state of paranoia when there's too many things to be done and I'm like forgetting where to start, and I have to get information from 10 different sources and then start a process and think what next. it's complex for the brain. And if you've already solved that problem once, then just document what you did
Yeah.
and pass it on, delegate. So that's also something that I'm consciously trying to do.
Yeah.
And every time I'm doing things at Rewardz, I'm like, does this actually need me to do it? Can someone else in the team do it?
Yeah.
And I've been so conscious and intentional about it. Like when the roof starts falling, and then yes, I'm there to hold it together.
Yeah.
But on a BAU basis, I need to enrich the experiences of my team. They need to be in that position where I've been so many times, and they'll learn from the experience. They'll learn by doing. So every time I'm looking at things and doing things, I'm asking, do I need to do this? I ask my team as well that, do you need to be continuing to do this, or is there a way you can automate it? Is there a better way? Can we put a process around it? And I think that's important. So I agree with you. Making processes is important.
I do, because of my general laziness, I guess. But like, I'll walk behind Alina's desk once in a while and I'll see her working on something that I know is someone else's job. But she wants to do it because why give it to anyone else? Well, it's going to come back to me and I'll have to redo it anyway. So I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
I said, no, then there's need for coaching.
Yes.
Like, you'd rather spend your time developing a coaching module for what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
That if you haven't been able to articulate exactly how you like things, now's the time to reflect.
Yeah.
What are these, like, codify, for example, as design of an ad, for example, a static image ad.
Yeah.
Like, I just rather do it myself because, I'll get it right.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, start thinking about the elements that go into the design. Like, what is it that you like in the ads? Let's look at some examples. Let's put something together. But sometimes it is faster for her to just do it than delegate it. But in the long run, it's better to have, let's say, a 5-minute video that anyone can watch that's on our intranet, being like, hey, this is how we design good static image ads. Here are all the things. I'm going to walk you through one live example. It's a video recording or a screen recording of her actually doing one and talking through it while she does it. And she's criticized me a lot for being the way I am.
Can I add an aha moment to that?
Tell me.
So in my perfectionist mind, when I've documented a process, and when I've explained it to someone,
and it still doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. I had an aha moment, because that would be very frustrating for me, that I've spent the time.
Yeah.
In one of the EOA trainings, the trainer said that an average person needs to be told 20 times before they change and actually start doing what you need them to do. And I'm like, aha.
I think it was 20 times.
20 times.
20 times.
So patience, like you said, the common theme amongst entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
20 times.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, so why was I expecting people to follow it the first time? Because to me, it's like, and I'm sure Alina faces this as well.
No, but she's pointed out the exact thing you're pointing out, and she's developing the patience ever since she heard that.
Yeah. It's been transformative for me. I'm like, okay, you didn't do it? Never mind, I'll tell you again.
But it makes sense now. Now that you know the fact, it makes sense, right? If you look back at your entire experience, even as an employee, you're like, why are you telling me again and again?
Yeah.
I know what to do. It's like, because they knew something we didn't know at that point, right?
I'm like, I'm doing it. But so even if I say things to my kids and stuff and they're not doing it, I'm like, okay, they need to be told again. They need to be reminded again. It's okay. It's all right.
In marketing, we talk about the 7 touch points that for a customer to actively think of buying your product or services, they need to have some sort of an interaction with you at least 7 times.
Yes.
So when they see an ad first, then second thing is they might visit the website. Third thing is they see an email from you. Fourth thing is they see a video ad. Like, it takes them 7 different times for you to be like, hi, I exist. Do you want to do business with me?
Yeah.
So I guess the same thing works with employees and coaching that way and moving towards delegation. Moving from delegation to replacing yourself, to transitioning the business off and having that kind of succession planning. Have you started your succession planning? How do you think about it? Because we're starting to think about it now, because we don't want to do our roles that Alina and I do right now. Like in 5 years from now, we both will not be doing our particular role in the business. We'll still be in the business, but not those ones. So we're starting to look for people that can take over from us. Has that been on the cards for you? Is there a timeline? How are you thinking about the whole process? What experiences can you share
Yeah.
that can help us think about it?
Yeah, no. Definitely thinking about it. So, uh, 11 years is a long time. And I mean, we've grown tremendously as a company. And we don't want to be the bottlenecks. We have now a leadership team with us of employees. So there are 8 of us in the leadership team. And we meet every month to go through everything that's going on in the business. And that is the succession plan. So typically everyone would see only parts of the business that they're responsible for. But the leadership team comes together individually talking about their priorities for the year, for their particular department, raising their issues and understanding how the business, and then looking at the numbers of the business proactively, that, okay, this is where we stand. These are top 3 biggest challenges right now, to think about the business holistically and seeing the relationships as well between different departments, that, how one impacts to the other, how one cascades down. So that's the first step, to engage them at that level, because again, timing is key. Sometimes you can't implement these things too soon in your business. They'll get overwhelmed. They're like, I'm still learning this intricacies of the business and there's too much on my plate. But after sometimes, boredom kicks in. They're like bored and tired of doing the same thing all the time, and they need something bigger. So that's, we started this quite recently. For a very long time, it was just the 3 of us. But we've started this so that everyone can see this, and to groom and coach them. And in terms of timeline, I mean, we don't have a set timeline, but like, there have been times when I'm unavailable, maybe for a holiday or maybe for personal reasons. I mean, last year there was quite a bit of time when I was out of business because of my own personal situation, and things move forward. So when I'm not needed to run the business and the business goes as per usual, I know that I've done my part to ensure that my team knows what to do, and they're equipped and they're ready, and they don't need me there for decision making, and they can move forward without me. So I think that whole principle of always reviewing whatever you're doing and asking, do I need to be doing this? Is it time now to get someone else in the team to do this? And having a conversation with them and training them how to do it and letting them have a go, and being open about it. Like, have a go at it. If you fail, no worries, I'm here to hold you back, but have a go. I think consciously having that kind of a mindset is very, very key to ensure that you have a succession plan in place, and you're also enriching the experiences of everyone else in the team, because boredom kicks in for everyone, right?
Yeah.
And you create
people need
space
to see where they're going.
What the
Right? next thing is.
What
for
is the
them.
next thing?
Yeah.
And then you free up your mind space for the next thing. Like, you cannot stagnate and you can't leave it at that level. What is next?
Yeah.
If you keep running with everything that you've been running with, where's the headspace going to come from to think big, to think what's next? So I'm very conscious about it, and all the co-founders are.
Yeah. One of the things that I think we need a different perspective on, or coaching on, is or we're trying to change our mind to it. I'm not sure if we're doing this right. But it is easier to get someone to do what you do if you make checklists and, like, here's my list of responsibilities, so they can do what you do. But how do you get them to think like you do? That's a bit more of a challenge. And recently I've been starting to think, like, why do they have to think like me? What if they bring their own flavor to the whole thing? And then that part wakes up inside me, like, no. But my culture, my values, my business, the way I vision it has to be the same. So they have to think like me. So I have this, like, to the left and the right angel kind of barking at me, being like, no, you don't. You can just let them be themselves, and they can take the business in any direction they want. The next person, or the other one's like, no, you need to protect it. You need to, like, set the foundation right, and it needs to be fixed. They need to think like you. Find someone that thinks exactly like you. So where's the balance for these two for you?
I mean, I've been guilty of, like, finding very similar people like me, because you feel that, values align, profiles align, it will happen. But I think that diversity is so key. Those fresh ideas, fresh perspectives. And that's why I think sometimes that natural attrition in the organization is a good thing, because it is overbearing for employees of a business like us, because we are, as co-founders, so passionate yet so overpowering, and they may feel nervous and scared that, okay, here are voices, guys, listen to us. We hear them, but maybe sometimes we may still act in our own old ways. And that should change for the evolution of any business. And those new thoughts, people need to be comfortable to speak up, to share their voices, and give them the opportunity to experiment. Do it. It may be counterintuitive, but have that appetite and that willingness and that curiosity to listen, hear them out, and give them that safety that, try it out. It's worth a try. Tell me what you're thinking. I'm a big fan of getting people to document and write down, because I believe when you write, a lot of clarity comes in your thought process. So I ask everyone to write down that, show this to me, and write it down, explain this to me, let's go through it, and then let's experiment, let's play with it. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I want to take a moment to share something that's really, really close to my heart. As you know, this podcast isn't just a series of episodes. It's you and I getting mentored by the wisest of the wisest. Each episode is crafted with care, aiming to bring not just stories, but wisdom and insight into the fascinating and sometimes lonely world of entrepreneurship. This is more than just a podcast. It's a personal mentorship session recorded on camera for all of us to learn and grow together. And this is where you come in. If any episode has resonated with you, your subscription or your vote means the world to me. Every subscription lights a fire inside of me and fuels me to keep delivering content that I wish had existed before I started this podcast 2 years ago. So I humbly ask for your support. Please hit pause now and find that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening to this. It's a small action for you, but it means everything to me. Thank you for being a part of this community and for your support and for choosing to walk this path with me. Stay curious and stay inspired. Thank you so much. We've experimented. We're starting to experiment. I need to do more of this. But this writing down thing, I've told Alina that every time we hire, like one of the things I want to test for any role is someone's writing ability. But we haven't really implemented, because I feel the same with you. When someone takes the time to sit and write something, it opens up like clarity in their mind. So the next best solution, and I think you will love this. Have you used Loom before?
Yes.
The screen recorder?
Yeah.
So we're starting to use that for everything now. So instead of sitting down to write, turn the record on button and whatever's on your mind, just blabber. Gets you a transcript. If you're on your screen too and you're switching through multiple tabs or things inside, the person, whoever is like watching for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes can just get a whole sense that you didn't have to sit and write.
Yeah.
And so I'm telling my team as well. So actually, Bianca spoiled me, the one that's been reaching out to you.
Yeah.
She does her weekly reports to me on Loom. So she'll have like a Google Doc open where she like lists all the things that she's going to talk about. And then she just like talk me through it, because it's much more efficient for her to do it that way.
Yeah.
And faster.
Yeah.
And for me, I have the transcript and the video. So I can like use either or to kind of watch. Because I think writing is falling out of fashion. It just generally is falling out of fashion, right? With a lot of people.
I mean, I've been trying to do that as well in the organization to make looms, because I mean, there's so many times there's a new feature that's released and then we're like, oh, how does this work? And then they're like, okay, I want to have a call with you and then please walk me through this feature and stuff. And I'm like, guys, don't do these one-on-ones. Document it whenever you release it. Document it, make it something that everyone has access to. So on demand, when they can see it. So you don't have to repeat yourself again and again. You don't have to find that common time.
You can scale your own internal content that way, right? Like a meeting is a one-on-one, it's gone, it's done.
It's gone.
But that one video that you record,
and if it's not recorded, I mean, I'm still on a bit of a personal mission to transcribe everything on Fireflies of every internal and every external meeting. Because it just gives me so much clarity, right? And I'm like, this is what I said. I can be having like 6 meetings in a day, and then by the end of it, I'm like, what did I say in that first meeting? What did I say? Forgot.
Me.
Forgot.
This brain's not very good at memory.
Yeah, so I have to write things down. I'm still a big fan of writing. That's
why I record these interviews. Because if you and I just chatted over coffee, I'll go home, forget everything that she said.
So I have
what was her name?
Yeah, so be intentional about recording it because you forget. And I feel like, honestly, for me, when I'm writing, it processes, it goes into some part of my brain where I'm like, okay, I remember. And then visually, when you look at it, I like to draw things out and like, okay, yeah, this is what I did. And you're engaging with your learning, I think, at that point. So for me, that works. That even if you see me at any workshop or any learning event, I'll be making notes like crazy. Yes, I'm the nerd. But
That's why I kept you in my team. At least we had one person who was organized, willing to coordinate the whole team. So I noticed, by the way, expertly. And you were writing stuff down. So good match for a lazy person. But yeah, I mean, I'm like you on that. Like I need stuff written down. I need stuff like documented and stuff. Like I'm not very good at always going back, but I'm so happy when I have documented something and I really needed it.
Yeah.
Like I know where that is.
Yeah.
I can go find it.
Yeah.
Talking about more nerdy things like this, because this is of personal interest to me.
Yeah.
I was joking about being lazy. I'd like to be highly organized, and I think it translates to other people like lazy. But I want to talk about organization. You have so much going on. You have like 5 jobs. Your marketing, your human capital, your sales. You're coming doing this podcast. You have EOA. You have 2 kids. How do you organize your week? Like on the micro level, like we've talked about high level things like moving around, succession planning, long-term things, 11 years, but like on the micro level, how does that work for you? How do you plan out your week? When do you do it? How often do you rejig it? How do you stay on track in the short term with all these things going on?
So I've recently started this. I mean, for work, there's always a priority for the week that, okay, what is my biggest priority this week? And yes, there are to-do lists, but I'll focus on my priorities. That this week, this is the priority. And I have to attack it. And of course, I mean, when we look at those quadrants, there's some things that are important and urgent. So I need to create space for that. Like this morning, I had an important and urgent. I have to drop everything and like focus on that. But I'll pick what is important for that week and I do it. And as long as I'm done with it, then I let other things come in. Like usually the structure of my day is like I start early. I wake up with my kids and get them ready for school. Some days I go to drop them to school, and I'm up and about. So 5:45 generally. I'm up, and with the kids till
I like
7.
8 a.m.
With the kids till 7, or they go to school, and then that's my time. Like maybe an hour with Neeraj. Still trying to bring back the gym routine. But slowly it will come in. So yeah, exercise and then start the day at 8:15 and finish up by 6:15 to 8:15 is with my kids. There are certain EO things that it's like a non-negotiable. I will definitely be there because I'm such a nerd and always looking to learn. I'm like, I have to create space to attend these workshops and be there. So I look for the anchors that, what are my priorities? What are the non-negotiables? And then there are the fillers.
Do you do the matrix? Can I imagine you like actually drawing that down, like importance and urgency? And or do you just do it mentally?
Yeah, sometimes I draw it down. Sometimes I do it mentally. It's still at a mode where I'm making to-do lists and not making it in a priority. The priority happens in the head. But even like blocking time in my calendar, when I know that I have to do this, then it's not just meetings. It's my focus time to prepare for this and to do this. Because unless it's in my calendar, it won't get done.
Really?
It has to be on my calendar.
Yeah.
And then like just asking my team that, am I sitting on something? Do I need to come back to you? Do I need to come back to you? Because in my priorities, maybe there are so many other things that have surfaced and I've lost track because like 50 people are talking to me at the same time.
Yeah.
So I'm open to them about it. Like, if you need me to do something, then chase me to get it done because I may forget. I may have a different priority. So it's not that I don't love you or don't care about you, but I may have forgotten. So remind me again. So being even open about something like that, I think is useful. So now they know that if Jaya hasn't come back to us for something for 2 days, she needs to be chased. And I don't feel bad about it. I feel bad when they don't chase me, and it's important.
Right?
Yes.
Like they just kind of like, I don't want to bother you. It's like, no, that's your job.
Yeah,
Bother
you have to
me.
bother me. You have to bother
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, I have some approvals always pending. So and they usually come to mind when Bianca does her weekly report, end of week report. I'm like, oh, pending, Naeem.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'll get
Yeah,
to it.
yeah,
Thanks for
yeah.
that reminder. Because like notifications come in and out. I do inbox 0 a lot. So like at the end of the day or during multiple times a day, my inbox is 0. Either something's been dealt with or it's been snoozed for later, or it's just been deleted because I'm never going to look at it again. But I want my inbox to be empty. So if anyone wants to reach me to get something urgent done, it's email because it doesn't get lost. It's always at the top. Like whatever you send me will be at the top. Either I'll take it and mark it to a place where it needs to be done, a date or anything. But like, yeah, my struggle sometimes is, as you said, like the priority, the important things, they will get done because they will occupy such a big place of your anxiety slash brain slash thing that no matter what's a non-negotiable, it will happen.
Yes.
It's general improvement things that I miss out on.
Because you're like can be done later.
It's always like, next week. Next week.
And I think, talking about priorities as well, it's so, taking for granted that running a business, being a mom, then your partner, your supportive partner who's always been there for you, you tend to neglect and take them for granted. Like, he needs my time too. So we're intentional about we set up dates, we go for lunch dates. Like business lunch is my favorite. It's very efficient and
right?
cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we go for business lunch dates and
Love
then
it.
like making sure that we're taking time for each other. That's extremely important. Otherwise, you take each other for granted. We have different slightly sleeping patterns. He's the one who likes to stay up late at night, and I'm like the morning person. So being very conscious about it, I think for all business owners, it's so key that you get so obsessed, and maybe even mums, that we think about our kids so much and we ignore the partner. But it's so important to.
I have a high amounts of respect for what you're able to do, and I didn't realize this until we became entrepreneurs, that the amount of coordination it takes.
Yeah.
Because at one end, as you said, 2:30 in the morning, you could get up and do the work, and there's something in you that makes you do that while not ignoring the rest of your life. You don't have that life as an employee.
No.
You have that 9 to 5 and your brain's there. After 5, I never thought about work. A little bit, but not obsessively.
Yeah.
Before 9, I didn't obsessively think about it unless I had a major client meeting or anything like that. Yeah. It's and weekends were off. I remember weekends. They used to be off. Remember that life? We're running low. Can you imagine that we've been talking for 2 hours?
No.
Almost.
Is it?
And there's so much I still want to talk to you about.
Yeah.
There's so many different topics that I can't let you leave, but I will be kicked out of my own studio. And these are questions that are not nice because you asked me to be nice. So I went easy on you. Because I like you. So, but we can end off. We have, Shan, what, 5? Okay. Can do a rapid fire. Because all the other questions are big meaty questions, so we'll have to get you back to talk about these things. But time just flies when you're having these kind of conversations. But if you're up for a rapid fire.
Let's try it.
Okay, let's try it. First question, very tough. Ice cream or gelato?
Gelato.
I like fast answers. Exciting flexibility that leads to volatile results, or boring consistency that leads to sure results?
Boring consistency.
Same. Spa day or shopping?
Shopping.
Spa day. If you had $50,000 to invest right now, where would you put it?
In Rewardz.
Lifer. If you weren't living in Dubai or Singapore, where would you be?
Bali.
Living in Bali. You are Indonesian, right?
Born and
Born
raised.
in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Neither of these 3 places then doesn't count.
I don't know. I've not been to Portugal yet, but it sounds very fascinating.
I'll see you there. Favorite Netflix show of all time? Not released this year.
I fall asleep usually watching Netflix.
Least boring Netflix show of all time.
Emily in Paris.
all about reframing.
Cook shows.
I had this question, but I probably shouldn't ask. It was supposed to be the one book every business owner should read. But you're such a voracious reader.
I don't read, but what's the one about don't give a fuck? What is that?
The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, Mark Manson.
Yeah.
Good one. If you were to stop working on Rewardz, what would you be doing?
While working at Rewardz, very soon I'm going to start a supper club.
All right.
Yes.
What was I like a practice when we came over that
My
day?
supper club is with a social cause. So it's going to be run by my nanny and my driver. And she's a brilliant cook, and he's so good at hosting and has learned everything. And Yash wants to market, and he's in love with food.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So and I love food. I'm passionate about food. So it's going to be about vegetarian food, and whatever that supper club makes is going to go to the three of them.
Oh, that's so awesome. That is awesome. That's in the works?
Yes.
Ooh,
Yes.
exciting.
Yes.
Probably my last question to you for today. If you had a billboard, again, this is a stolen question from Tim. What can I say? I'm a fanboy. If you had a billboard on Sheikh Zayed Road,
Yeah.
you could put anything on there
Yeah.
as a message to either entrepreneurs or non-entrepreneurs. But it can't be commercial. It can't be like,
Yeah.
get my Rewardz app.
Yeah.
What would you put on there?
Smile.
One word.
Just smile.
I love it.
Yeah.
Would you have a smiley logo on there too?
Yeah.
A smile?
Yeah. Maybe with my dimple.
Yeah, why don't they have that emoji? A dimple
They
smile.
should, no?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm going to submit an official request to Emoji Inc. Who manages emojis? You know, is there an organization that looks after this?
Yeah.
Jaya, this has been so much fun. I love your optimism as always. I remember the amount of laughs we had when we were building Foreign Club together, and I was hoping to get some here too, but I chose to be a little serious with some of the conversations for our audience sake. But I loved it. I love that we had time to talk about so many things, all the way from Jim Collins. I'm going to pick up that Entrepreneur 2.0. I think that'll be useful to us.
Yeah.
I will remember to make checklists when I'm doing renovation with Alina. That's definitely something to do. I need to get back into our leadership team meetings. Alina and I have been kind of like not been regular with them. And there's so many reminders in this conversation of things that I can definitely like apply almost as soon as I go back. And I want to thank you so much for that, for taking the time.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to have this conversation. And I mean, you made this very comfortable. You really were nice, because I thought that, what will we do for 2 hours and we'll run out of things to talk about, but this has been brilliant.
I could do this for another 2 hours.
Yeah, let's do it.
I was just getting warmed up. This just started. But thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
The thing is, you as a person, you embody a lot of the values that EO has. So in the things that you were talking about, a lot of those values exist in EO. Like any topic that we pick, we talk about patience, we talk about people management, we talk about the failures and the risks that you take, the purpose, the why. I know that's such a big part of EO. So all of these topics are kind of part of your EO journey as well.
Yes, it's my EO journey. And I mean, I don't know if you want to put it on record, but I do share it with a couple of people that I became an EO member in Feb 2022. And I went through the toughest phase of my life. I lost my mom in May, and then very unexpected. And then I lost my grandmother, and then I lost my cousin. And I think EO helped me pull myself together. And I think dealing with grief for an entrepreneur is just so difficult. And the way this program, this community is structured, the people, it's a safe, it's a powerful, it's an enriching, it lifts you up.
Were you in a place where you would even ignore going to EO things when this was happening? Was the grief really taking over any sort of social interaction for you?
yeah, I think apart from I was not doing anything. Like, I came back from my mom's funeral and I ended up going for a retreat with my new forum. And I mean, that kind of state and the kind of reflections that the exercises and without it being like, it's when you're in that kind of a position, you can just end up being inconsolable and just like, just in tears and tears and tears, and like there's nothing that pulls you out. But I think EO helped me accept and move forward. And I think it's powerful. The structure works. And yes, I was out of business, out of Rewardz for about 2 whole months because I was not in a space where I could make those decisions or run the business or take those calls or be in the meetings. My founders gave me space. My team was ready to step up and know that, she is dealing with a lot, and give her that space. And yeah, being surrounded by people who have been through ups and downs in life and who are willing to share their stories, not because they want sympathy from you, but knowing that yes, it's all right, it's okay, and you will be fine, and having that safe space to talk. So it's something that's so transformational for me.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry to hear. Can I ask you, and if you don't have to answer this, but what lessons do you remember from your mom that have really helped you throughout, whether you saw them too late or you embody them early on? So I love wisdom from people with gray hair.
Yeah.
And I'm looking to hear if you have any to share from her.
Yeah. So my mom was a very, very, very kind person, very selfless. And she was my biggest supporter from day one. And both my parents, I mean, the community is such that boys sometimes, like, you invest in boys, in their education and stuff, but they always treated me as equal. She pushed me at every level, like in terms of going to the best university, continuing to study ACCA while I was doing brand management, like keep putting in the effort, the value of hard work. After I got into city, like, where's your CFA? Like keep pushing me. So I think like she still continues to push me and tell me that you can do it. Keep going.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Thank you for being vulnerable and allowing me to experience this too. Thanks so much for that. And I can't even think. I don't want to taint this nice memory that your mom left you with as a lesson for us to remember as we become parents or as we look at other people in our lives that deserve that respect and that coolness. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.